Hello everyone, this is Harpreet Kaur, Education Counselor at OSIS Migration in Adelaide. I welcome everyone to our another live session on Facebook. Like every time, this time too, we are covering a new topic related to the migration. Today we are covering the topic that is the Global Talent Visa. So first of all, we'll be covering some migration changes, some migration updates, and then be moving to the Global Talent Visa. So I'll be assisting today Mr. Mahajan during this session.
Yeah, thank you, Arpit. Yes, so thank you everyone who's watching out there. So we'll be starting with few developments in the last few weeks, and then we'll move on to Global Talent Visa. Today we will not be taking any phone calls, but you're free to send your questions in the comment section, and we'll try to answer your queries. Or you can send query if we are not able to answer in this session today. So we'll definitely get back to you next week and try to help you with your queries. So to begin with, the latest developments, we are still waiting on the state nomination occupation list, which is not there yet. So we got an update from Migration Institute of Australia that states have been allocated places, and they will be declaring their occupation list soon, but how soon we are not sure. We are expecting it sometime next week, and we are not able to comment on occupation list as of now. Now, moving on, there has been a major development, that is changes in the scoring criteria for PTE. I believe you must have got many inquiries
Yes.
for that.
There was so much happening amongst the students, especially the students who were just looking for admissions, especially in the nursing sector. And there were so many students who have already filed their EOI, and they were just thinking, then now what will happen? What will be its impact upon their situation?
That's absolutely right. I'm just sharing it video to just a little bit more.
So I think, Mr. Rakesh, this PD scoring system that has been, the changes that have come up, will it affect everyone?
So interestingly, Kapil, you must have seen what they've done. So people in the bracket of 4.5, 5, and then 5.5 and even 6, they made the test easier for them.
Okay.
So now if you require 4.5, earlier you required 30 what do you call, points or in each module. Now you just need 23. For 5 bands equivalent to IELTS, you just need 29 instead of 36 now. And for 5.5, it is 36 instead of 42. And for 6, it is 46 instead of 50.
Okay.
So, in other words, they have made easier for the people who require, 5.5, 5, or even 6. But when we go over, say, even for 6.5, they have done it 56 instead of 58.
Okay.
But the major impact is that is even not for 7 each. Even for 7 each, it's only 66 instead of 65. But the people who are most badly affected or may be affected, those are people aiming at 8 each or 79 each. Now they will have to get 84 each instead of 79. So, but moving on. So as of now, it is just an input from the Pearson test of English that they have changed their criteria or scoring system, and they have informed the governments, the departments, or whosoever, or different
Several
organizations
agencies
who accept the test, but nothing has been changed from the Department of Home Affairs as of now, and nothing has been changed by the institutions or the universities also as of now.
Okay.
So everything remains same. The admission criteria for nursing remains same, stands at 65 each as of now, and even people filing expression of interest or visas, it all remains same as of now. So if you have got 79 each, you can still claim 20 points. You don't have to worry, and nothing has been changed to 84. But what our experience says, even if the department changes this system, point system, in the future, it will take maybe few weeks to come into effect.
Okay.
And secondly, I believe, because we have been in the industry for quite a long time now, I believe that they will not do it from the back date.
Okay, so all those people who have already filed their EOIs, they will not be
Yeah,
affected.
hopefully the people who have already done their test, like from, I think it was declared in the first week of December somewhere.
Yes.
So whatever was the declaration date, it was 2nd or something. So it may be implemented from that date.
Okay.
But if you have done your test before this change was declared, you should not worry about it. I think
You're still at the
test,
safer side then.
yeah, you should be alright in that case.
Okay.
But having said that, it is just our guess, and we will do another live or update our page once we get this.
Any notification from the
information.
department? Okay.
So still waiting for the occupation list, no updates as of now, so we won't be able to answer.
There are so many people
Yeah.
waiting for this.
Yeah, but having said that, if you are in the critical sector or that preferred list, for example, if you're working in healthcare or essential services, you can still lodge an expression of interest, and people are still getting invitations, especially for nurses, registered nurses, for enrolled nursing. Yes, so get in touch with us, and you can still lodge your expression of interest, and you may get invitation if your application is highly competitive.
Okay. Mr. Rakesh, any changes with regard to 485 subsequent visa? I think we are going live after such a long time, and there were little changes that.
Yeah, I think we are doing this after quite 4-5 weeks now.
Yes, exactly.
So nothing much. The only change with 485 is that subsequent 485. Now, if your wife or husband is offshore, now previously it used to be paper application, but now it is an online application.
Okay.
So that's a change.
So that's all for the changes.
Yeah.
Now moving to Global Talent Visa. Mr. Rakesh, can you please tell our audience in brief about this visa, Global Talent Visa?
So Global Talent Visa, I know most of you know, it's an initiative by Australian government, which is designed to attract highly talented people to Australia who can help in developing infrastructure and the sectors which are in high demand in Australia, and who can contribute to the Australian economy. So government is encouraging those people to apply for this visa and get permanent residency. So very good visa means for those people who work in particular sectors and have means the potential to earn that income. So they got very good opportunity. I think like with the 189 and 190 getting tougher.
Yes, it is getting
So
tougher.
global talent is a
It's
very
a good option.
It's a good option for people who may qualify. And interestingly, there are so many options in that, which we will try to explain in today's session. So many people maybe they not aware of minute details. So we'll try to explain and elaborate on the requirements, on the sectors and everything.
So before going in depth about this visa, can you please tell us about the basic qualification which is required for this visa?
Right. So interestingly, so many people think that only people in research sector are eligible for this visa, but that's not the fact. Even if you have done Bachelor's of Honors,
Okay.
that's a minimum qualification to apply for Distinguished Talent Visa or Global Talent Visa program we call. So Bachelor's of Honors in the targeted sectors, Masters, but in Masters or Bachelor's you must have 80%, 8.0 out of
Okay.
10. So you must have 80% marks.
Mhm.
You should have done your Bachelor's or Masters in the last 3 years
Okay.
and in the targeted sectors,
Mhm.
or you have done your PhD within last 3 years, or even the government is encouraging to people who are about to finish their PhD in next 6 months.
That means they have already submitted their thesis.
Yeah, they have already submitted and they are expected to finish in next 6 months.
Okay.
They are encouraging those people to apply for this visa.
Okay. So we know that there are certain sectors that come under this category, like cyber security is there,
Yeah, there
Tech
are.
is there,
That's right.
data science and ICT is there, then application of technology to agriculture and food production, that is EdTech. Beside these, are there any other sectors that are covered under this?
So broadly, the sectors which are under Global Talent Program is fintech, anything which helps in financial technology.
Financial services, related to financial services.
Cyber security is big.
Mhm.
We got agriculture technology, anything which helps to improve use technology in agriculture. We got medical technology. We got space and advanced manufacturing.
Mhm.
We got quantum information, advanced digital, data science, and ICT. So to elaborate a bit, when we say fintech, for example, you are an IT professional and you're working for a banking sector.
Okay.
Say you're working for a Commonwealth Bank or Westpac Bank in their IT department. So you may be eligible for that. If you're working in any way in cyber security, you may be working for an IT company looking after the security of the data, or banking sector again. Energy and mining is big,
Okay.
so there is a lot of potential applicants, especially in Western Australia, where mining and energy companies do operate. So medical technology is there.
Okay.
We have, I believe, many applicants who are working in medical, even practices in the technology sector, so they may be eligible.
Okay.
So even project managers with the construction companies with that meeting that income threshold, they may be eligible for this as well.
Okay. So, Mr. Rakesh, we know that income threshold is 1,53,000 for this visa. So, is it compulsory for the applicants that they should be earning this much when they are applying for the visa, or there is something else we can help them with?
Okay, so broadly there are 3 requirements. You should be working in that sector.
Okay.
You should either be earning 1,53,600 per year, or you should have the potential
Okay.
to show. It's not necessary that you are earning that much money, but maybe if you can show them that you have a potential, your skills has that capability
Okay.
to earn that money.
So that means you can show to the department, then whenever they finish their studies in that relevant field,
Yeah.
then they will get a job.
Yes.
Which will be around this threshold.
So,
Like
for example,
53,000.
you have done your PhD in particular subject, and you can show evidence on seek.com that after finishing this study, I have that potential if I will be working as a professor or a research scholar with the university. This will be the
This was the package that he
Yeah.
or she will be
so you
getting
have to
in
do a
future.
bit of research. You may get some offers. Even you may show the jobs descriptions to support your application that
Okay.
you have that potential of earning that much.
I think that's really good.
Yeah, that's really
Because
good.
while you are just finishing your studies, you can get yourself prepared with all the documents and you can apply for this visa.
Yes, that's right.
That's good. So coming to the nomination requirements. So who can nominate the applicants for this visa?
So for Global Talent Visa, you can either be nominated by your employer, you can be nominated by Australian organization.
Okay.
Interestingly, you can be nominated by an individual as well.
Individual as in he or she should be Australian citizen, permanent
Yes.
resident or something
Individual
like
who is an Australian citizen,
that? Okay.
and it can't be anyone.
Mhm.
The person must be working in the similar field.
Okay.
Don't have to be in the same company or don't have to be your senior all the time.
Okay.
They may be your associates, but they should know you in professional capacity.
Okay.
For example, even if they work for a different company, but they are at a similar level
Okay.
and they can vouch for your
Mhm.
abilities,
Okay.
they can nominate you. It's not that they have any sort of legal obligation for
Okay.
that. It's only that they vouch that they know you in person, they know your academics, they know your skills, they know you in professional capacity,
Okay.
and they believe that you can be an asset to Australian economy or you can contribute to the Australian society.
Mhm.
So yes, you can easily
Okay.
do that.
So Mr. Rakesh, one more question that is coming to my mind. Is this visa only for those people who are in Australia, or people from the offshore can also apply for this visa?
Harpreet, see, it is onshore and offshore. They
Okay.
can be in Australia, they can be overseas. The only condition is that they must have someone to nominate them.
Okay.
So, having said that, even Australian government has appointed global talent officers in
Okay.
certain countries who are like who are there to always looking for those people who can be eligible to apply this visa.
Okay, so I believe there are certain countries like London, Washington,
Yeah,
Shanghai, and
yes,
Singapore. I
that's
think
right.
these are the countries I believe.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay, that's good. And one more thing, I think there are number of places which falls under this visa that has also been increased by the government.
Yes. So last year we have 5,000 places, but this year for financial year 2021, the places have increased to 15,000. So that is 3 times than the last year. So government want to encourage people to apply for this visa.
So that's the reason they are just increasing the numbers, because they are looking for the talented people that can contribute to the economy of the country.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
So any message you want to give to all those people who are looking for this visa and they are falling under this category? Any message for them? Any guidelines you want to give to them? Because there are so many persons who know, okay, this is the visa, but they do not know how to approach the department in a
Yes.
right way.
So I believe I know there are so many people who may qualify for this visa because there are so many international students who are studying in these sectors who have the potential. The only thing is they don't know how to. They are only looking for 189 or 190.
190.
But they may be eligible if you have studied in any of these sectors: financial technology, cyber security, energy and mining technology, medical technology, agriculture. When we say space and advanced manufacturing, so here we can link anyone is you will hardly find any aeronautical engineer in Australia. So even if you are mechanical engineer or uh, electrical engineer, you
Okay.
may, because it is all related to space and advanced manufacturing.
Okay.
So most of the engineering occupations. So you may be eligible. It's only the hurdle is to find a nominator who is an employer,
Mhm.
an Australian organization, or an individual who
Okay.
works in your field. So yes, so you should get in touch with us, and we may able to help you. We may able to guide you in that direction, even if you believe that you are still not eligible, but you may be eligible even if you don't. Even if you're not earning that much at this stage. That's
Okay.
all I can say.
I think this is a very good option for all those people who are falling under this category. And I believe you have enjoyed our session today. And any
I think today it's only Rocky Kashyap is
Mhm.
asking for 115 something. So Rocky, it's not in my head right now. So better if you can send us an email, and we'll get back to you.
So I would like to thank all our viewers for being with us during this live session. So we are planning to bring new topics, discuss new topics every week, and keep following us on the keep following us on the Facebook. And if you have any question, you can just call us on the given numbers. And with these words, I would like to say, have a lovely day, enjoy your weekend, and take care.
Okay, thank you everyone for watching, and hopefully we'll do another live very soon once we get the state occupation list. So wish you all a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. Hopefully we may do another session
Before that.
before this next
Yes.
year, if something comes up. But thanks everyone for watching, and keep following us for further updates. Thank you.
Okay, take care.